him.
I want to watch the news.
Are you making headway at least?
This is the news.
Smack 'em a gob! It's time for the only news that matters. Greg Leon replaced Randy Rhoads in Quiet Riot and toured with Dokken before he formed Motley Crue with Tommy Lee. But when the band's Wild Man rhythm section took shape, things quickly fell apart. It's a common misconception that Mick Mars was Motley Crue's guitarist from day one, but in truth it was Greg Leon, along with Tommy Lee, who formed the band. And though he didn't stick around long enough to play an actual show, Leon still holds an important place in the band's history. He said, "I was in the band called Sweet 19, and at some point, this skinny kid who had been a fan starting hanging around and bugging me. He showed up at all our gigs, and at some point he said, 'Hey, I'm a drummer.' Not too long after, our drummer left, and I ran into Tommy again and said, 'Hey, we need a drummer. Do you want to get together and jam?' So we got together, and it was great, and the kid knew all the songs, and it fit right in." Having discovered Lee with Sweet 19 was the start of the relationship. Having discovered Lee with Sweet 19 was the start of their relationship. But things didn't heat up until Leon's stints with two other LA-based outfits, Quiet Riot and Dokken, ended. Once again on the market, Leon summoned Lee to the table to be the drummer in Motley Crue. But Lee fell in love with the striking style of Nikki Sixx, while Leon insisted that the glammed out bassist chops weren't up to snuff. I was looking to put together a band like Rainbow, Deep Purple, or Humble Pie. Nikki Sixx simply was not capable. So I told Tommy, "If this is the guy you want, I'm leaving. Nikki is incapable of musically executing what I envisioned. All he was doing was quarter and eighth notes." But Tommy liked him, and they hit it off, and then they talked. So again, I said, "Look, Tommy, I'm not going to play with him. Do whatever you want, but I'm not doing it. He's not musical enough for me." Leon walked, leaving the door open for Mick Mars to waltz right through. Leon's talent has kept him a darling of his contemporaries, but the large-scale success experienced by Motley Crue had eluded him. One can't help but wonder if Leon made the right choice. Regardless, the veteran guitarist remains unbothered, steadfast in his observations that Sixx didn't possess the skill set to execute his vision. To the end, Leon dialed in with GW to discuss his early interactions with Tommy Lee, the formation of Motley Crue, and what he thinks of John 5 replacing Mick Mars in the modern era. Said, "After playing together for a few years and making a name for ourselves around Hollywood, I got an offer to replace Randy Rhoads in Quiet Riot after Randy went off to play with Ozzy. And man, I remember Tommy was mad at me. He and his folks didn't want to see me or talk to me. We went from being good friends to never talking. I was dead to him. So I said, 'Listen, Tommy, let me make a name for myself, and I'll come back and get you once I see all this through.' And Kevin DeBro was impossible to work with. And then before George Lynch came along, Don Dokken kept calling me, asking me if I was interested in joining Dokken. So I played some European dates with him. But the labels kept telling us they wanted new wave bands and weren't interested in what we were doing. I was tired of labels telling us they weren't interested in Dokken, so I contacted Tommy and put Motley Crue together. We were looking for a bass player, and we went to Starwood one night, and Nicky's band London was doing their farewell gig. I wasn't impressed with Nikki at all. He was just awful. While we were hanging out, I didn't know why, but Tommy just loved how Nikki looked. He was gung-ho about him, saying, this is the guy we should get. But I felt we should back off as we'd already auditioned Nikki twice. I said, Tommy, he looks great. He's great on stage, but he can't play bass at all. I never played with Nikki Sixx. Tommy and I played together many times, but I was gone as soon as Nikki entered the picture. But they couldn't find a guitar player or a singer initially, so they kept calling me. But I refused, and then they met Mick Mars and Vince Neil, and they were off and running. The way I saw it was that my guitar playing would get me through. I didn't need any guy like Nikki dragging me down. I had seen London many times and I knew I wanted none of it. Years later, Tommy invited me to the studio while recording Theater of Pain. And when I got there, it wasn't Nikki playing bass. I won't mention the guy's name who actually played bass, but it wasn't Nikki. I remember asking the guy, hey, what are you doing here? And he was like, oh, I'm playing bass on the Motley Crue record. It shocked me, but the producer instigated that as Nikki wasn't up to snuff. I didn't know about ghost players then, but it was way more common than people knew. But it would usually get squashed whenever Tommy tried to hang out with me. It was like, why is he here? We don't want you playing with Greg. I'm not sure what they are afraid of. When asked if they gave him a call after Mick Mars left Motley Crue, he said, no, definitely not. I know it wasn't great between Mick and the guys, but I didn't think it was that bad. Mick is a hell of a nice guy and a great player. I've only met him a few times, but I've always found him to be a total sweetheart. It sucks what happened to him, but even if they did ask me to join, I'd decline. I'm not into all that phony stuff with the tapes and shit. And how he felt about John Five playing in Motley Crue, he said, I don't think John Five is the right guy. He's not tough enough. There's no aggression in his playing. The band needs a player with attack and fire. John Five is not that guy. I remember jamming with Nick at the studio during Theater of Pain sessions, and he was having trouble getting his sound. And Tommy said, get Greg in there. He can make anything sound better. So I went over, messed with mix amps, and dialed them in. The guys were jumping for joy to the point of hugging me and screaming, nobody can touch these controls. Then they went and got a magic marker and marked where all the settings were. So yeah, I'd be an excellent fit for Motley Crue because I get the sound. John Five doesn't, but whatever. All right, there you go. Man, what's up with, like, I don't know. Every musician is, like, so bitter that we're almost, in the band, but stuff happened. And there's no exception. Look, I've been in bands, and I am no musician. I'm a headbanger. I write songs, but I'm a headbanger. And I don't play no instruments, just go up there and sing. And, but musicians are a rare breed, and I'm not naming names, but I know one bass player that's so full of himself, and he was never really anything, really. He was almost there, and, yeah, he's pretty cocky and full of himself, but I guess that's what happens when you're a musician like this, that there's just a lot of bitterness. And here he is saying, I don't want to be no part of Motley Crue. I wouldn't join that. And then also saying at the end, I'd be better than John Five, though, because, he doesn't have the aggression. But, the crazy thing is him saying that Nikki Sixx did not play on Theater of Pain. And Tom Warman recently came out and said he did play on all Motley Crue albums he produced. So who knows who's telling the truth there? I don't know. I can't see why Tom Warman would lie since Nikki has said so much crap about him. But I don't know. Maybe it has to do with integrity or something. He doesn't want to let people know that he duped the public by getting a different bass player. I don't know. Maybe it's that. I don't know. Maybe Greg's telling the truth. I know Greg is bitter, but maybe he's telling the truth. But either way, Greg wanted to form some band that Nikki Sixx wasn't capable of doing, so he left. And I wonder if he ever did form that band, because it didn't do much compared to what Motley Crue does. Motley Crue is like Kiss. You know, Kiss, what Kiss stands for is Keep It Stupid, Stupid. And that's what Motley Crue does. They left their music stupid. I love it, don't get me wrong. I love Shout at the Devil and Too Fast for Love, and even some songs on Theater of Pain I like, you know? But I like stupid music. What can I say? But, you know, then again, as douchey as Greg comes off in this interview, he is funny. I like how he says, I don't want to be part of these tapes and all that crap. I mean, he says that because they would never ask him. If there was a possibility that he was going to go and play a stadium tour with Motley Crue and make more money than he ever has, yeah, sure he would say that. No way. But it's funny for him to bash on Motley Crue for using tapes and stuff like that, as they should be bashed. So anyway, that's it. This guy is bitter, but he's funny. He made me laugh. And I want to thank you all for watching The Only News That Matters. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't. And please ring the little notification bell. Like the video. It's good for the YouTube algorithms. And let me know what you all think in the comments below. I would love to read what you think of Greg Leon and Motley Crue. So, stay frosty, listen to Black Sabbath, and smack 'em a gob!
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain. For we've received orders for to sail back to Boston. And so never more shall we see you again.